بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه الطيبين الطاهرين. I ask Allah to grant us all the sincere intentions. Before talking about the people who claim to summon souls, the Jinn, we said that it is impermissible for them to, they have rules, it is impermissible for them to enter into a Muslim body. But how is it, or when is it that a Jinn would enter into a body? The way that, this happens the most, or this is easiest for them when, this is the easiest for them when a person is committing a sin. And when there isn't as much protection as there usually is. Every single person has a number of angels protecting them. And a person, and we will speak more about how one can fortify oneself, protect oneself from the jinn, from magic and so on. But a person, there are ways in which he can protect himself from being afflicted. If a person does not do these things to protect himself, he doesn't recite those things that have been prescribed, that are recommended to do at al-Maghrib and at al-Fajr, then this person is more likely to be afflicted. Even though, yes, there are 10 angels appointed to people to protect them. But they only protect the people from what Allah willed for them to protect people from. Sometimes, despite the existence of these angels, a person may be harmed if Allah willed for that to happen. So a person needs to keep the defenses up. A person needs to recite what we're going to mention later on, inshallah. And at the same time, they need to remain obedient to Allah Ta'ala. One of the ways, or one of the times at which it is the easiest for the jinn to possess a person is when this person is committing a sin, and or namely a major sin. So when a person commits a major sin, like a zina, at that point, when they are committing a zina, fornication, adultery, or when they are drinking alcohol, or when they are committing other sins or major sins, when they are disobeying Allah, it is as though a window of opportunity opens up for the devils, who are always waiting. They are waiting to pounce upon a person, waiting for him to slip up, waiting for him to forget to recite some of the things that he usually recites to protect himself. They are just waiting. Like we said, this Qareen, the Khabith, the Qareen of yours and my Qareen, they don't sleep. They don't sleep. They are not lazy like some humans are. They are not lazy in the evil that they do. So they would enter a person when a person is disobeying Allah. This is something that they thrive off. This is something that they love. This is something that they find very pleasurable and enjoyable. So one needs not, one should remain obedient to Allah Ta'ala. One should not commit any sin. and even more so, a person should not commit major sins. So a person learns what the major sins are. They learn what the major sins are. Al-Haakim narrated that a woman once came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She came with a child that seemed to be affected by the Jinn. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam put his finger on the stomach of this child, his finger, alayhi salatu wassalam, and he said, "Ukhruj ya adu Allah, come out, O enemy of Allah, ana Rasulullah, I am the messenger of Allah." Alayhi salatu wassalam, and this jinn, this devil, it came out torn to pieces. These jinn, they may enter a person, sometimes more than one. More than one would enter a person. Sometimes a person wouldn't even know that it's there. Some of the signs of being possessed by a jinn, and we should not be amongst those people, what do they call them? Hypochondriacs, who say, whenever they hear something or read something, they read symptoms and say, that's me. I've got this disease and that disease. Everything that they read, they say, that's me, and that's me, and that's me. No, we don't think like that. Sometimes, some of these things, they might happen to a person, but it might be coincidence. It might be that they actually have something wrong with their health and not the jinn. There are signs that a person might be possessed. There are signs. Insha'Allah, we'll mention some of them later. But the point here is that a person needs to stay away from disobeying Allah. This is what a person needs to stay away from. One, because Allah has a right over His slaves, and that is that we do not worship other than Him, and that we obey Him. And also, from another angle, we should not disobey Allah because that is something shameful. And then from another angle, we should not disobey Allah because this is dangerous. This is dangerous for us. Sometimes some of the pious people, like the Shaykh Abdullah al-Harari radiyallahu anhu, sometimes they would look at somebody who was thought to be possessed and the jinn would come out. Sometimes some people would be reading on a person, performing al-ruqyah, which is to recite the verses of the Quran on a person who is affected potentially by magic or the jinn. And they would be reciting, and a pious person would come and merely look at that person and at the possessed person, and the jinn would come out. Like this is mentioned about Shaykh Abdullah radiyallahu anhu. But we were speaking about what they call today summoning souls. So what happens? Some people, they say that if you want to reconnect with the dead, if you didn't get to say goodbye to your loved ones, and if you want to bid them farewell in the proper way, or if you miss them, and so on, then some people, they claim that they have a connection with the other realm, quote unquote, and that they can call the souls of people. These people, usually, they are working with the jinn. Usually. they will have done certain things to gain access to the jinn or certain types of magic. They will do something to gain the trust of the jinn. Like, for example, the jinn would tell them to, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, urinate on the book of the Qur'an, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, which is kufr. Anybody who does that is a kafir. And this pleases the devils. This pleases the devils. After this person has been considered by the devils to have proven himself to the devils, they would aid him. Sometimes. And sometimes no. Likewise, it is known from some of these people that they would write the Qur'an with urine or blood of menses, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. And some of them would even, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, wear pages of the Qur'an like a child would wear a nappy. Like this, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. So, some of the devils, they request for people to do this. And this is something that they thrive off. They find that delectable, if you will, delicious. They find it to be very pleasurable and luxurious. And then they begin to aid, sometimes they begin to aid these people. They begin to help them. So what does one of these people do? One of these people, he would say to a particular person, if you want to reconnect with your dead, come to me. Then this person, this magician or this sorcerer, would send among the jinn that are working with him, would send out looking for that Qareen, because usually that Qareen doesn't die. The Qareen of the deceased person, it doesn't usually die when the person dies. It either goes and connects itself to somebody else, or it wanders off into the earth. It wanders the earth. So they bring that Qareen back. They bring that Qareen back, and they would put the Qareen in one of the relatives of the person who is requesting to speak to the deceased. So remember, this Qareen, it knows everything, or almost everything about that person. It knows the most secret things about that person. For example, if this person was with his father and they had a secret conversation, the Qareen would know about it. If this person was alone with his wife and he said certain things to his wife or had a certain conversation with his wife or whispered in her ear, the Qareen would know about it. So the deepest secrets the Qareen would know. So what this person does is, this sorcerer, he summons this Qareen under the guise of, I am calling back the soul of this person. So the Qareen would come and it would go inside one of the relatives of the person who wants to talk to the deceased. And then the sorcerer would ask this Qareen certain questions. Then the Qareen would start to talk. And this happens. The Qareen starts to talk and says to certain members of the family, remember when this happened? Remember when dad did this? I remember when you said this to me. I remember when and when and when and when. So these people, now what do they think? They think that, the soul is back. They've captured the soul somehow and it's come back. But this is, it's actually impossible. This would not occur. This is because of what we know religiously about where souls go after they die. The Muslims, their soul, after the body decays within the grave, what happens to it is that if it was a soul of a pious person, the soul, the soul of the Muslim would be in one of three places. Either it would be in paradise, benefiting from the fruits of paradise, eating from its fruits, but it would be in a place that is different to where it would be in the hereafter. Or it is the soul of a sinful Muslim who died without repenting for its sins. This soul would be where it would either be in the first sky, actually inside the first sky, or it would be in this emptiness which is between the earth and the sky. The emptiness in which you have the sun, the moon and the stars between the first sky and the earth. They would be suspended, hanging in the first sky, hanging below the first sky, and some in the first sky. Third, the souls of the kuffar, after the body decays, and only that small piece is left, the soul of the kafir, it would descend to a place in the seventh earth, and it will be tortured there until Allah Ta'ala reconnects the bodies and the souls, and then the people are resurrected. So, these souls, they have prescribed places that have been mentioned to us. Most of the people who do this would be non-Muslims. Most of the people who go and request the summoning, supposedly, of these souls, they would be non-Muslims. And it is impossible for a magician to snatch the soul of a kafir from the angels of torture. Impossible. Azrael alayhi salam takes the soul of this person and hands it to the angels of torture. They soar into the sky with the soul of this kafir. They go to the first sky and they find the door closed. Then they descend through a passage in the earth. They descend through it into the seventh earth, where their names are recorded in a register known as Jinn. Then the soul is brought back up when it is being taken to the grave, and it screams and says, وَيْلَهَا أَيْنَ تَذْهَبُونَ بِهَا? Where are you taking it? Because it knows that it's going to be exposed to more torture. Then when it is put in the grave, the body is put in the grave, the soul is re-injected into the body, and it is asked the questions by the angels, and then after that it is in constant torture. It was in torture and it is in constant torture, and it remains, the soul, it remains there inside the body, in the grave, until the body decays, however long that takes, until this small bone is left. All the body decays until the small bone is left, and then the soul is taken into a place in the seventh earth. So these souls, they cannot be snatched. They cannot be taken away from these angels. They cannot be taken away. It's not going to be the case that this soul was being asked questions by the angels. Oh, and suddenly the magician snatched it and brought it back so he can talk to his cousins. No, that doesn't happen. So this is actually a fraud. They are using the Qareen. The Muslims know about it. The Muslims know that the only way that this being could know everything is, no, not if it's the soul of the person, because the soul of the person, that's it, it's gone. It's gone, it's in its prescribed place. It has to be the Qareen. How do we know about the Qareen? The Prophet ﷺ told us about it. So this is how we know that what these people claim in terms of summoning souls, it is not something that is true. It is not something that can be relied upon. But because a lot of people don't learn the religious knowledge, and this is part of the religious knowledge, don't they say know your enemy? To know the Qareen, it is part of something that is important to know. If you want to go and fight the battle and you have no idea who the enemy is, you don't even know the enemy exists. Never mind, you don't even know the enemy exists. A lot of people don't understand the concept of the Qareen. They don't even know that it exists. Sometimes you might be you might be arguing with a person. Now here, you're actually up against three, aren't you? You're up against your own Qareen. You're trying to fight its whispers. You're trying to fight argue with the person, the human being, and you're trying to fight with his Qareen too. It's 3-on-1 already. You're already outnumbered. It's very, very difficult for a person to comprehend this matter if he did not understand, if he did not learn the rules of the religion. The Qareen is something that is very threatening. Very threatening. Some people, it seems that when they go home, they whisper to themselves. Literally, they talk to the Qareen. Because they might be jealous of another person. They might be scared of something. They might not find anybody else to talk to. So what do? They sit on their bed. Or they sit in their room. Or they sit on the toilet. Wal-'iyadhu billah. Some of our mashayikh, they mentioned that some people sometimes go to the toilet and it's as though safaru, as though they've travelled. They've gone. Where's Fulan? He's in the toilet. Huh? Okay, where's Fulan? It's been 10 minutes. He's in the toilet. What's he doing in the toilet? Where's Fulan? It's been 20. He's in the toilet. Where's he gone? And he comes out, the person comes out of the toilet and you feel like, you need to hug them or how have you been? Because it's been so long. These people, they sit on their own and they think. And the Qareen, it hurls things and it pelts things towards them and they take it. They take it and they take it. You can imagine, if you take this example, the Prophet ﷺ said that a Muslim, he does not, he continues listening to the good. He continues listening to the good. He listens to lessons, he listens to Qur'an, listens to good information, listens to stories of good manners and so on. حَتَّى يَكُونَ مُنْتَهَاهُ الْجَنَّةِ. That he continues until he reaches paradise. He makes sure that's it, that he's going to reach paradise. This has an effect on a person's mental state. Imagine you're not hearing the good. Imagine you're thinking ill, and all the while you've got someone helping you in that. Always he is pelting dirt and najas of thought towards you, thinking ill of people and causing you to, encouraging you to say things and so on. There's all this negativity going on. Some people, like this, they can become very evil. Very, very evil. Very sinister thoughts can brew within a person. So you imagine that a person hears this day in, day out. Day in, day out. What can happen? This person can start talking to himself. Or this person might only find this Qareen as their friend. And what do they think? They're oblivious to the fact that the Qareen exists. They think this is them. They think that they are a person who is intellectual and well-cultured and all these thoughts that are coming to them are theirs. And it's not actually them. The danger of the Qareen is that many people do not know that it exists. Once you know that it exists, then you can even know that some of the whispers that you are getting, it's potentially the Qareen. And where it hurts the most is when the Qareen sometimes whispers to you. And it says to you, for example, sometimes when you're really tired, some of our mashayikh, they mention this, the Qareen might say silly things to you. Just utmost ridiculous things. And like for example, one of our mashayikh, he mentioned that the Qareen might say, Anta baqara. You are a cow. And a person sometimes, especially when a person is between sleep and wakefulness, like when they're just about to nod off, he says stupid things like that. And this is with regards to something that's not that serious. Someone says, you're a cow. You're like, no, I'm not a cow. You usually wouldn't even react to that. But when it becomes more dangerous is when a person is being whispered to and is being told, for example, does Allah exist? Are you sure Allah exists? Or things like that. If a person doesn't know that that's the Qareen, what might they think? Oh, wait a minute, that was me. I doubted about the existence of Allah. And then they take the Shahada. But they didn't need to. It wasn't even them. They didn't even know that this thing existed. Once you know that this thing, this being exists, then you can start to work on yourself. You would see many of the scholars, they would keep the Qareen guessing. They would keep it guessing. They would be spontaneous. They would do the good deeds, but they wouldn't let on a lot. They don't give all their secrets away. They don't spread their intentions to the people. They don't say, for example, that I have the intention to do such and such good deed. I have I performed such and such good deed and so on. They don't give that away. They don't give that away. A good example of this is the example of Sultan Muhammad al-Fatih radiyallahu anhu. The one who opened up, the one who conquered Constantinople, Istanbul. The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam had mentioned in a hadith, لا تفتحن القسطنطينية ولا نعم الأمير أميرها ولا نعم الجيش ذلك الجيش, that Constantinople will be conquered. And ولا نعم الأمير أميرها, the Amir, the conqueror, the leader of that Muslim army will be a great leader. And likewise his army. Shaykh Abdullah radiyallahu anhu said that it's possible that a lot of those in the army were amongst the awliya. Sultan Muhammad al-Fatih, when he was, after they conquered Istanbul, he set out with his army. He set out with his army and he didn't tell anybody. He didn't tell anybody where he was going. He set out with, he's got an army, thousands of men with him. And they set off in a particular direction. They set off, and before they reached the place where he wanted to wage war, he passed away, radiyallahu anhu. Now, he hadn't told anybody. He didn't tell his wife. He didn't tell the army general, the leader who was below him. He didn't tell anybody. Because if word gets out sometimes, then the Qareen can talk to someone else's Qareen, and the word can get out like this. It can confuse people, it can cause divisions within the army, and it can, through the Jinn, they will be able to inform the other army that the Muslim army is coming, for example. So he passed away. What did the army do? The army didn't know where they were going. He was their guide. So they turned back. Now this is because of his wisdom. He didn't want his Qareen to know. And remember, the Qareen cannot tell your thoughts. It cannot read your mind. It doesn't know what's in your heart. So it's important to keep the Qareen guessing. And you will find that at first it will be difficult for you. How? Because you react so naturally to the things that you do. When you don't like something, you might make a face. When you don't like something, you might not even notice, but inshallah, now you will start to notice more and more. Notice how you react to things when you're trying to avoid somebody. When you don't want to shake somebody's hand, for example. Some people are like that. How do you behave? Do you look at the floor? Or do you move away like this while looking at them from the corner of your eye? Or what is it? You learn about your own behavior because there is a devil that knows about your behavior. So it's very, very important for you to know that this thing exists, and that sometimes a lot of the time it would hurl whispers at you. Al-Imam Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari, he said that there is a hadith, that is speech, that is inside a person. This speech, it is the speech of the nafs. Sometimes you yourself, you will speak to yourself. Your inner desires will manifest themselves in terms of a feeling. And sometimes it would be the devil. So be aware that this isn't always you that's doing that. It's very, very important. And always a person needs to be amongst good company or listening to words that are good. This is very, very important so that you can manage your mind and your mental state, insha'Allah ta'ala. This is very, very important. Let us stop here, insha'Allah ta'ala. Let us say La ilaha illallah and as-salah ala nabi. La ilaha illallah. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallim.